Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a Destined Lovers romance recommendation video. I'm super excited, so let's get right into it.
About to leave, already packing.
Okay, so the first book I wanted to share with you. So I feel like Destined Lovers is a trope that can really go with fantasy romances, a lot of fantasy romances, paranormal romances, and like couples that have just known for years that they're going to be together, or that it was like always them and it's like blah blah blah, like there's no one else for me ever, has ever been for me. So one of the first books that comes in mind is like the Accordive ACOTAR books, sorry. The ACOTAR books, literally all of them are Destined Lovers, I think personally. Reese and Farah, definitely, I think. And so a lot of people already know what that is. It's just a fae fantasy romance, and it's freaking amazing. So excited for her new book to come out. So excited. And then the next one is Sacrifice by Katie Robert. This is a paranormal vampire polyamorous romance. So our heroine, I don't remember this correctly, but I think she gets like sold to the hero as like a blood slave or something, and basically they just have a lot of like steamy things with that, and then his like longtime friend or something comes and some stuff happens with that. I remember there being like a lot of secrecy and very, very steamy, so I think that's a great one to read. I really enjoy those. Another one is any of the Ice Planet Barbarian books by Ruby Dixon. I'm so excited for the new covers from Berkeley to come out, because I'm going to buy like all of the series because I'm so excited. I didn't love those covers, not because of the abs or anything going on with that, just, I don't know, some of them were not my jam. I do like the first book's cover, that's my favorite, but that series, if you don't know what it is, it's about humans basically going on like a spaceship to this planet for, I think it's like maybe a study or something, I don't know, but they get taken to this like planet, and they meet these aliens that are like these big tough blue men, and each book is about a woman with like a blue dude, and it's really, really good. Very steamy, short, great books. A lot of action that happens, and they're like, there's this thing that make them mated to like their person, and that's the only reason why they would be together with that person, like sexually or anything like that. And some of it just starts out like friends, and some of them are like they take their woman out into the woods away from like the village and try to get to know her, but also like impregnate her. So it's really fun, and I really like that series. Another one is another Sarah J Maas, which is House of Earth and Blood. This had a lot of those vibes. This is about a woman who, her best friend, this is fantastical. It's in like modern day fantasy, like a world with like fantasy creatures, and so I think she's like half fae maybe, and so her best friend gets murdered, and so she has to figure out who killed her, but people are kind of blaming her, and the hero is the guy that's like the head of the investigation. I read this about a year ago, so it's a little fuzzy, but I remember loving it, and some really crazy things happen. That one's really good. The Green Creek series by TJ Klune, that is a werewolf romance series, and all of them are either like LGBTQ or very, very, very like inclusive. The first book is called Wolf Song, so I'll put that one up there. But that one's amazing, and that's about Joe and Ox, and Ox has always been told he's never going to get far in life. He's kind of like a big oaf, I guess, but I love him so much. And this family moves into town, and that's Joe's family, and when and there's a big age difference between Joe and Ox. I think it's like maybe 10 years or less. And so when Ox first meets Joe, Ox is a late teen, and then Joe is like maybe 11 or 12 or 13 or something, and they instantly kind of have this like great chemistry, and like Joe already knows that Ox is like his mate and stuff, but Ox doesn't know anything about their family, that they're werewolves or anything like that. And so something happens where they finally are like a little bit like together, but it's like when they're older, but then something happens tragically and they're separated for years and they come back to each other and they're both really angry at each other for people leaving, and just really good things. And I love this series so much. There's just so many things that happen, so much action, so much emotion, and just love, and it's a very like found family, and I love that about this series. Then there's like the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. And I've talked about this series a ton on my channel, but I love this series. It's a vampire, like modern vampire romance series, and so it's this like group of like warrior vampires that try to like slay these things called lessers that are like these demon things, and so that's where a lot of the action happens in the books. But then each brother in the brotherhood gets a story, and so each of them are different. Like the first one, the heroine is actually half human, half vampire, and she doesn't know it, and she sees her mate and for the first time in her like dreams and stuff, and they both come like infatuated with each other, and that one's really interesting because it's getting into the world. My favorite is Butch. Butch is a human and he gets with a vampire, and it's so good and like angsty, and I love that one. Another series that I love is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This one is so good. So our heroine, she is a siren, and her job is basically to get information of men with like her abilities, and so that's really cool. And one night she goes back to her place and this guy's there, and he's the bargainer, and she has a history with him, and he kind of left her years ago, and they were like really good friends, but he left her for a reason. Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip. He left her for a reason. I can't really remember why exactly, but she made a deal with him, and now he's come back to collect his deal, and he is I can't remember if he's Fae or not. He's like kind of like the underworld boss, and there's like courts in the underworld, and it's kind of a little bit like Akhtar with the courts and stuff. And so his deal is that she has to go back with him to the underworld because people in his kingdom are dying from this like sickness, and they don't know what's happening, and there's a lot of action that happens with it. But I will warn you, it is a trilogy, and they kind of get together pretty quickly. Like the first book, they're like a solid relationship, and then the rest of the books are just them in their solid relationship, but like most of the book is about like the action happening with like the mystery of people like dying and stuff. So that one's like interesting. I really liked it, but also like I did get annoyed because it felt like, you know, nothing was really happening with the romance, which I wanted, which was why I was there for the story anyways. But I still really love that series, and it's a great read if you want some action fantasy and like destined lovers, and they're a really cute couple. Okay, so the next book is Desperate Measures by Katie Roberts. So the reason why I put this one on here is because I guess, I don't know, they felt like, I feel like they always knew they were each other's endgame like their whole life. So this is a Jasmine and Jafar, like, I don't know, it's not a retelling, maybe like a fanfic, I guess. So this series is really fun, and I love it. It's like kinky and very steamy, and so each of the books is like I guess like a Disney or mythical or like folklore like fanfic. And so this one is Jasmine and Jafar's been working for Jasmine's like father and stuff, and so I think her like father maybe dies or something, and so Jafar kind of like takes a hold of her and like finally has come back for her, and so they start a relationship, and it's really good. I need to do a reread of this because I love this book so much. But they start exploring their relationship, and there's kind of like dubious consent in this book. Like, if you don't know what that means, basically it's like, does she want to be with him? She's like saying she doesn't want to be with him, but she does, kind of thing. But I really love this book and this whole series. The next one is like a Hercules, Hades, and Meg retelling, which I really like. There's, I think, maybe like a Tinkerbell and pirate hook romance. I think there's an Ursula and Ariel one. There's a Beauty and the Beast one, I think. I can't remember correctly, but love that series. Love Katie Robert. Definitely go check that out. And then the last book I'm going to talk about, or no, okay, there's 2 more books. So the next book I'm going to talk about is called The Surviving Trace by Kalia Reed. This is a time travel romance, and I've talked about this before, but probably not as much as I would like to, because I don't know why, but I love this series so much. So our heroine, she is a historian, and she owns this antique, and she finds this old photo, and she's like fascinated with it. She's very fascinated by history, and so she is really enthralled by it, and kind of focuses her attention on it, trying to figure out who's in the picture, who are these people, and like the pictures from like early like 1900s, like 1912, 13, blah blah blah. And so she actually ends up time traveling to that exact time, and sees those people. And so when she first gets there, this guy comes up to her and is like, "Hey, wife," and she's like, "What? I'm not your wife." And so she finds out later that she switched places with this other woman named Serene, the exact same person as her, in that time. And so she doesn't know where the other Serene is, but she's trying to figure out how to get back in time. But Serene, like the old Serene's husband, absolutely hates Serene, because Serene is kind of like the old Serene, not like the one we know and love. The old Serene is just like a nasty woman and never wanted to be with him, but like went with him because of like, it's kind of like, it's a historical romance, but it's like, you know, in historical romance, like we got together because like a marriage convenience or whatever. And so she kind of has to convince him that she's not that Serene, and that she's from the future, and that she's not his old wife. And then they start a romance, and it's so sweet, and I love it so much. It's adorable. But then the second book takes a turn. It becomes a little love triangle-y, and she actually has a fiance back in her own time, but that's not where the love triangle comes from. So I'm winking. I tried to be all sneaky, but it's so good. The second book is my favorite because that's when it really turns angsty and delicious. And Etienne is this like big, like the hero, this like powerful man, like but he's been scarred a lot of his life. He's a twin. He's not the one who's like the perfect one, the perfect twin. He's kind of scarred, and he's always been like the older brother, and he has a lot of trauma from his past, from his parents passing away and his younger brother, and it's just so good. And I love the whole family, like his twin brother and his younger sister. She has her own book, but her it's so good. I just love the series so much. It's so good. I just can't get over it. And then the last book that I wanted to talk about was Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. This is a Four Horsemen retelling with like modern day stuff, and so Pestilence comes to like the modern day, and the heroine, she has heard of Pestilence and how his like sickness is killing all these people. And so when he comes to like her town or area, she tries like 5 different ways to kill him. And then she realizes he can't be killed, so he takes her as his prisoner, and it's so good. Some crazy stuff happens because like she gets hurt, but then it's very hate to love, and then he obviously like doesn't keep her as his prisoner the whole time, but she tries, like he really hates humanity, and she's trying to show him that some humors are actually good, and it's so cute, and it really kind of brought a fresh eye to like humanity and like how terrible humans are, but how good they can be, you know? So I really enjoyed that. And that is the end of this video. I want to thank you so much for watching this. I love all of these books. I definitely need to read more of these types of books because they're so much fun to read, and I love when like the other person discovers that they're kind of like fated to be together, like A Court of Mist and Fury. Oh my god, I almost forgot which book it was. A Court of Mist and Fury. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I'm super excited for some videos coming. I have some really fun ideas, so keep on the lookout, and definitely let me know down below what your like Destined Lovers romance recs are, because I would love to hear.
Life is a winding road, no
telling where it goes.